Konnichiwa! Fans of Nintendo's classic mini consoles and Nintendo Online service that delivers original NES games and SNES games direct to your Nintendo Switch may have something to look forward to. In a recent interview with Nintendo of America's Doug Bowser, he was asked about the next mini console, and his response could get Nintendo 64 fans pretty excited. Game on! Hey, welcome back to the Retro Gaming Boy Show. My name's Mike, and by day I'm a AAA games developer, but at night I love my retro gaming. In today's show we're going to be discussing a recent interview with Nintendo of America's Doug Bowser that could mean that N64 fans finally get their modern emulation that allows them to play their favourite console in HD. Now, speculation from fans, the retro gaming community and mainstream press around a brand new mini console for the N64 have been around really since the original NES Mini. And whilst every now and then we've had a news story that surfaces that seems to point to an N64 mini console, it's only in a recent interview with Nintendo that we've had the biggest indication yet that the N64 could be on its way back.
Check this out! What am I, a monkey? You could zoom in, zoom out, change angles. Go anywhere you want to go, do anything you want to do. Here we go! This place is really sweet. Whoa, I'm out of here.
Change the system.
Now on November the 7th, 2019, The Verge got the chance to sit down with Nintendo of America's president Doug Bowser and ask him a few questions about the Nintendo Switch and, more importantly, the possibility of us seeing a new mini console. Now, whilst Mr. Bowser didn't directly confirm that we'll be seeing a mini console or the N64, his comments are really interesting and definitely point to the possibility of the N64 making its way to us. The Verge asked if there's a chance that we would see another tiny plug-and-play retro console from Nintendo. Now, the next mini console would naturally be the N64, and this is what he replied with. Our focus right now is absolutely on the dedicated platforms such as Nintendo Switch Lite and our flagship Nintendo Switch. I think with the gameplay experiences you saw with some of our classic consoles that we launched a few years ago, they're now available on the Nintendo Switch Online. And this is where our focus will be. I know, he doesn't directly say that the N64 is coming to the Nintendo Switch, but I think there's some very different ways we can interpret what he said. Now, the first one is if we look from a Nintendo strategy point of view. Now, Nintendo are all in on the original Nintendo Switch and Nintendo Switch Lite, which is not surprising. It's their biggest money maker in years. And so what Mr. Bowser could be saying is that they're just doubling down on the hardware for the Nintendo Switch and that they're not too bothered about going back to the classic consoles. Essentially saying that Nintendo Switch is our hardware strategy, it's our only hardware strategy, and if you want retro gaming, then you can get it on the console already. However, the question was clearly framed around whether we would see another mini console. And so I think there's some lines that we could read between that may point to the possibility of an N64 coming to the Nintendo Switch. Now, Bowser explains that the mini console experiences, the physical mini console experiences that we saw released, are now replicated on the Nintendo Switch, and that this is where they want to focus their efforts. And so for me, and this may be a bit of a leap of faith, but I read this as that if any new classic console is going to come out, it's going to come out on the Nintendo Switch. And if Nintendo keep to their classic console emulation releases on the Nintendo Switch, it could mean that by September next year 2020, we could be playing Jet Force Gemini on our Nintendo Switch. Now, I think there is no way on earth that we won't see the N64 making its way to the Nintendo Switch. It is such a proven business model for Nintendo to release their classic games on their modern consoles. Personally, I cannot wait for them to bring out the N64 on the Nintendo Switch. It is the first console that I imported. I imported it so I could get it before everyone else, and it had some of the best, groundbreaking, most iconic games ever made. The only question I have now is, will we see the Nintendo GameCube on our Nintendo Switches? Before we end this show, I just want to say a huge thank you to everyone in the Retro Gamer Boy community. There are over 1,000 of us now sharing our passion and love for retro gaming. And if you're new to the channel and this is your first Retro Gamer Boy show, then why not consider subscribing by clicking on my little pixel head below. And remember, you can always get more retro gaming goodness by clicking on one of these two videos over here.